Hello, my name is Mark Dabney, and the purpose of this brief video message is to explain why I'm not a conservative. And if I had my graphics working properly, yes, that word's in quotes. I want to be clear. I don't have a quarrel with individuals. Maybe, well, there are some that I'm particularly irritated by, but irritation is not offense, that call themselves conservative. It's the collective herd mentality and the deceitful slogans that I have a problem with. I have a problem with, they say they believe in accountability as long as it's not our guy. And then I've dealt with people who call themselves conservative and they use twisted logic to avoid facts and say, well, prove this, that, the other. And it's like, I can prove that your account of things is a lie, and you want to change a subject away from the things that I can prove to things I cannot prove, because the only people who know the answer to that question are the people that lied us into war and lied us into a fraudulent debt. And the key word there is fraudulent. The word conservative, understood by connotation, connotation is the emotional baggage attached to a word, like all the slogans and the emotional investment. The denotation dictionary definition. The proper denotation of the term conservative is, let's just keep things the way they are. And the term liberal, properly understood, means let's do something different. Now, the one thing that I really find offensive about this herd mentality is that neocons, or properly neoconservatives, will denigrate anyone who disagrees with them, saying, you're a liberal. Yes, the founders were liberals, and I am a classical liberal, because I agree with the founders who warned us, don't go meddling in the internal affairs of other nations. Don't let private central banks control the issuance of your currency. Don't trust any politician, because they'll sell you it's all about this good thing, and then they'll give you the bad thing, typical bait and switch, and both sides do it. What I think his name is Dr. Drew Weston at Emory University. I think it's Emory. I know it's in Atlanta. He did a brain scan study of people that were politically biased left and right. And as a control, he compared that to people that are not biased either way. And that's the way I am right now. I'm not biased to the left or the right. Quite frankly, in terms of the body politic, I think that they're either fools or liars or some mixture of those two. But that's not a legitimate the system the founders intended. Actually, the bottom line is, what we actually have is everything the founders warned us against. And although we have the deceitful and fraudulent outward trappings of a representative form of government that never comes clean, never holds its own accountable. The government cannot be trusted to investigate itself. It cannot be trusted to prosecute, because usually what always happens over and over again, they give their own a pass. And so what I'm advocating is there needs to be a reinstatement of the founding system, the system the founders intended, like understanding that the term republic means the rule of law. It does not mean merely elected representation, Congressman Barry Loudermilk. According to that misdefinition, all the communist countries have republics, so you can vote for this communist or that communist. I'm a classical liberal because my commitment is not to our current corrupt and fraudulent political system that has enslaved us to what is falsely and fraudulently called debt, led us into perpetual wars based on lies. The real terrorists, from what I've seen, are the people that have lied to us. And I charged Barry Loudermilk, I told him, I called God as my witness, that if the Taliban was right all along when they said, we've examined this body of evidence very carefully, the problem we see is it does not prove that bin Laden caused 9/11. I agree with the founders, and therefore I disagree with neoliberals like Stephanie Miller, who will go on and on about androgenic global warming, but while they claim they have a consensus, it's like, excuse me, the problem I have with your so-called consensus is you don't allow anyone who disagrees with you to challenge you as to your facts and your reasoning. But that's a different thing about the neolibs. I am not part of the neoconservative herd mentality. I am not part of this delusional mentality. Now, I will name a few names. I find Rush Limbaugh, especially, to be an arrogant and condescending fool who goes on with his game of political theatrics. The issue is not political theatrics. The issue is, what is this political theatrics actively avoiding? The fraudulent changes to our Constitution, the fraudulent nature of debt, the fraudulent pretext for war, and the abject lack of any real accountability. There are solutions, but I don't have time to go into it in this particular video. But to be clear, I understand how deceived we have been. We have been deceived into believing that we're the good guys and they're the bad guys. And it's like Andy Coulter said, as I call him. I'm not saying that he is a transgender. I'm saying he's a very disingenuous person. I read the title of his book, If Democrats Had Any Brains, They'd Be Republicans. And all I can say to that is, if Republicans had any conscience, they'd be constitutionalists. Not necessarily being members of the Constitutionalist Party, and I'm not a member of the Constitutionalists or the Libertarians. But a republic does not stifle a real debate. A real republic is about the rule of law, and this isn't it, because criminal elements have lied through the body politic and shielded themselves from accountability, saying it's for national security, or as I call it, Nazi anal security, because it's really about the security of the criminal element that believes they're above the law. I'm not what neoconservatives call conservative, because I've judged the fruit of what they call conservative, and I'm like, excuse me, your fruit is rotten. You're not doing anything to hold your own accountable. You're not doing anything to have a legitimate debate. You're engaged in this game of political theatrics and saying, oh, we'll vote for the lesser of two evils. I prefer Hitler to Stalin. And the other guy says, I prefer Stalin to Hitler. That is not a republic. I like Obi-Wan Kenobi in the good old days of the republic before the empire. Well, I concur with Dr. Ron Paul. Truth is treason in an empire of lies. And that's why I'm really at odds with the neoconservative agenda of lying us into war, lying us into debt, and maintaining a fraudulent political process where you can go pip versus poop and entertain the delusion that the lesser of two evils is somehow going to get you something other than evil. I'm calling for reinstating the organic Constitution, which means the Constitution before it was fraudulently changed, and reinstating the militia, the lawful militia to be clear, to hold the government accountable. And with clear understanding, the militia is trained in natural law, and we will never condone the violation of anybody's right to due process. Thank you.